All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to play with some expressions some more. We're going to keep practicing simplifying them. We did distribution and factoring before. Now we're going to move on. We've gotten rid of all the multiplying. All that's left is adding and subtracting. So we're going to talk about combining like terms. And again, this is kind of review. It's something that you've seen before, maybe not with the negative numbers and as many variables, but it's something that you've done in the past. You've learned that like terms can be combined, but unlike terms can't. For example, this 6x and this 5p can't be added together because these are x's and these are p's. They don't combine, but these x's can combine with these x's. And so that's what we're going to practice today. We're going to do a couple of things different because we're working with negative numbers now, and you need to know how to do that. So our first example, 6x plus 5p plus a negative 3x. Step one is like everything else that we've done. We want to remove all of the double signs. And we want to rewrite the problem. Anywhere that there's two signs in a row, we want to get rid of it. So 6x plus 5p, that doesn't change. That stays right here, 6x plus 5p. But I've got a plus and a negative. I've got 5p plus a negative 3x. I've got these two signs right next to each other. I want to get rid of them. And we know that a plus negative becomes a minus 3x. So my problem just becomes 6x plus 5p minus 3x. And if I look at the second example, we'll kind of go through these together at the same time. I've got negative 4x plus 9. That doesn't change. There's only one sign there. And then I have this 9 minus a negative 6. So there's a double sign that I want to get rid of. And a minus minus becomes a plus 6, and then I add 3 more x's. So I remove all the double signs, rewrite the problem. That you've practiced a lot. That should be a simple step for you. Number 2, we are going to circle each number. We're going to add a little thing here. Not just circle, but we are going to circle, or we might box, or we might underline, because we're going to do a few different things. But we're going to circle, we're going to box, we're going to underline each number and the sign and the variable attached to it. Okay, so if it has a sign, we're going to circle it as well. If it has a variable, we're going to circle that as well. But the reason I put circle, box, and underline is because in this problem, I've got x's, I have p's, and I have x's. I don't want to circle everything the same. I kind of want to keep my like terms one way and my unlike terms another way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to circle my 6x, because that's an easy way to start. I want to circle everything else that has an x with it. This is a plus 5p, that's not an x, so I'm going to ignore it. But this minus 3x, that has an x, so I'm going to circle it, the sign, and the variable, all in one circle. Okay? And I'm circling those because those can be put together, so I want them both circled. This plus 5p, that can only be combined with other p's, so I'm going to put that in a box. It's just going to look a little bit different than the others. Okay? So for example 2, negative 4x. Let's circle that one first. And now I'm going to look for anything else with an x. I've got a plus 9, there's no x. A plus 6, there's no x. And then plus 3 x's. So there's my other x's. I'm going to circle the 3, the variable, and the sign together. And then I've got a plus 9 and a plus 6. I'm going to box those. Those are called constants. That's a definition that you should have written down because they're numbers without variables, so they're called constants. I've got plus 9, and then I have plus 6. Okay. Number 3, what we're going to do here is we're going to combine everything with like terms. Okay, so we're going to add the like terms together. Or in other words, we're going to add the things together that are circled. We're going to add the things together that are boxed. I can't add together circles and boxes because they have different variables. They're not like terms. Okay, so 6x minus 3x's. I'm just going to read right along. There's 6x's here, and I've got minus 3x's. That leaves me with 3x's. And then I'm left with plus 5p. And so I'm just going to write that down right here, plus 5p. So I'm going to combine my like terms, and keep the signs there in front of them. So on this second problem, I've got negative 4x's, and then I have to add 3x's. So I've got 4 negatives, and I've got 3 positives. I've got more negatives. In fact, I've got 1 more negative than positive. So my answer for the x's is just going to be negative 1x, but I don't like to write that. I just like to write negative x. We don't need that 1 in front of it. But now I need to combine the other numbers as well. I've got plus 9 and plus 6. So 9 plus 6 just becomes 15, and it's a positive 15. So I'm going to add plus 15. All right. So step 4, some of the other classes are doing this just a little bit differently. They're putting a plus sign in between all of the answers, which you can do if there's not one already. But we've already gotten rid of the double negatives. They're not getting rid of the double negatives like we are. So we're not going to worry too much about step 4 here. In fact, you can just kind of cross that out. All you need to remember is when you combine these, the sign goes with them. So 6x minus 3x's was a positive 3x. So I wrote that down. And then I'm left with a plus 5p. So I kept that 5p. On this side, I had negative 4x's and plus 3x's. That left me with negative x. So I wrote that down. And then a 9 and a 6 combined to be a positive 15. So I wrote down plus 15. Okay? So let's try a couple of these. Number 1, 5b minus 6b. Now I know there's only 2 things here, but let's follow our steps. I'm going to circle everything with a b. So I've got 5 b's right here, and I've got negative 6 b's right there. So I've got 5 positives, 6 negatives. So I've got more negatives. In fact, I've got 1 more negative than positive. So my answer is going to be a negative b, just negative 1b. But I don't like to write the 1, so we're just going to leave it like that. Number 2, 7a's plus 3 minus a. So that means minus 1a. So let's circle our a's. There's 7 of them right there. And then there's minus 1a right there. Make sure you get that minus sign. Don't forget it. When you make a mistake, it's going to be because you circle the a and you forget the sign. And then I've got plus 3 floating here in the middle by itself. So step 2, combine my like terms. 7a's and minus a. I think that's kind of simple to do in our heads, right? 7a's minus 1a, that's just 6a's left over. And then plus 3 doesn't have anything else to combine with, so that just becomes plus 3, and I'm done. Number 3, negative 2x's plus 3y's minus negative 6x. Now this one's got those double signs that I want to get rid of, so I'm going to rewrite negative 2x plus 3y. My minus minus becomes plus 6x. And now I'm going to start circling things. I've got negative 2x's here, so let's find all the x's. I've got plus 6x's over here. I remember to circle the plus and the x. And then I have this 3y floating around in the middle with the plus sign. So negative 2x's and positive 6x's. When I put those together, I've got 2 negatives, 6 positives. So I've got more positives. In fact, I have 4 more positives. So my answer is 4x. And then I'm just left over with a plus 3y's from the middle there. All right, simple enough. The practice is going to get a little bit more complicated. These examples, we only have 2 terms or 3. As you practice today, we're going to start adding 3 or 4 or 5 terms. And really, you just keep doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you have 4 y's, you add them all together. If you've got x's and y's and constants, if you just follow these same steps, you'll be okay on the practice. So what I would like you to do, pause the video, and I want you to try these 3 problems on your own. Make sure you get rid of the double signs. Make sure when you circle, you're not just circling the number, that you're circling the variable and the sign that's in front of it so that you know if they're positives or negatives. And come show me your work when you're done. If things look good, I'll give you the practice.